minus 9 minutes. Minus 8 minutes. Minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. minus 3 minutes. Minus 2 minutes. Minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Pitter patter, let's get at her. If you like me, that guy you're looking at or listening to, you're in luck because it's Wednesday and it's just me for all of hour one, flying solo. This is the show where you get to be the co-host as the viewer. If you don't like me, you're SOL, and you may want to change the station. I'm very excited about today's program. We'll be able to get into a lot more things more deeply when it's just me and you, the viewer and listener. And then in hour two, my good friend, longtime friend, Daren Millard will be joining us, Vegas Golden Knights television host. We've specifically saved that for hour two, not only across the Game Plus TV network across Canada and 32 U.S. states, where Daren Millard really did cut his teeth as one of the founding members of Sportsnet across Canada. Very popular amongst Canadian NHL fans, but now he's with the Vegas Golden Knights, and I'm looking forward to chatting to the Brandon, Manitoba product coming up in hour two. Are you ready to go? Let's begin. I will tell you that the text line is open, 902-518-3033. Not sure we'll have time to get to it here in the opening segment, but you're certainly more than welcome to write in, 902-518-3033. It is brought to you by Western Dodge, of course. I'm just getting my stopwatch going on this opening segment. And I know I blew the horn. The big story, of course, is the World Series, everybody. It's the big story. The 2025 World Series is now down to a best of three. The Blue Jays tied the Fall Classic Showdown at 2 games each after beating the LA Dodgers 6-2 Tuesday night. The teams play again with Game 5 tonight, Wednesday night at Dodger Stadium, then head back to Toronto for Game 6 on Friday. Blue Jays rookie righty Trey Savage gets the ball tonight. The Dodgers countering with left-hander Blake Snell. I want to ask the viewers, and again, I'll call up the YouTube feed here right as well with the chat. Tell me your thoughts. What did we learn last night? Full disclosure, I had my eye on two things, and when you do that, you don't follow either one real well. But I was at the hockey game, the Florida Panthers, Anaheim Ducks last night, and the guy that was sitting beside me, Alex Baumgartner, great kid, originally from Toronto, now working down here for CBS Sports Network. He's elbowing me. Hey, Rod. Vladdy goes deep with the 2-run shot, which blew the game open. So I want to ask you all what we learned, and I'll tell you what I learned and invite you to write in with that, and we'll put all our ideas on the table. Number one, we learned that Shohei Ohtani is human, that he is fallible, and I think we really learned that the Blue Jays have a legitimate shot to win the World Series. To me, it really hit home last night. Because going into this series, it was obviously the David versus Goliath talk, of course. And then the Blue Jays bombed them in game one. We're like, wow, they actually can play with these guys. And now it's down to a best of three. Are you with me? And then it's like, they could actually win this thing. Especially if they rough up Shohei Ohtani, the greatest player in baseball right now. Here's the one. It's funny. I used to think when I lived in Canada that 49th parallel, that little thing we call the border, was just a virtual line. And that Canadians and Americans really aren't that different. No. It might as well be like the Berlin Wall. In that, after the 18-inning marathon that was Game 3, everybody was talking about it on both sides of the border, the World Series. Back to today, no. They're back to football now, but that's fine. I know Canada's on fire with this, and California baseball fans and baseball fans in general. I'm just telling you, it's the big story for us. We'll always be the Blue Jays show. The Jays have the chance to win this thing. And here's another thing. Are they here to stay as an upper echelon team in Major League Baseball? Or however this all plays out, is it a fluke? It's a bit of a rhetorical question. I don't think it's a fluke. You know, if you've been following this show every day, this is episode number 1606. When we left, my good friend Brent from Wellington, Florida, and I walked out of TD Stadium in Dunedin last game of the spring training. And I said, there's an unbelievably palpable vibe here of positivity. Vladdy runs this whole team. He's the heartbeat of it. Remember us saying that? That ain't going away. The Blue Jays, no matter how this turns out, are going to be contenders for a very long time. But let's just worry about this series. And a couple more things before I get to TV ratings. My God, I didn't expect to spend the whole entire opening segment on the World Series, although I probably should. You saw Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in the crowd last night, right, wearing Dodgers hats. And I don't want to out my friend who put this on Facebook, a photo of the two, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Of course, Prince Harry of the monarchy. They oversee Canada, part of the Commonwealth. I know that. I'm not that stupid. His initials are Bryn Griffiths from Edmonton, the Mighty Mouth, the outstanding broadcaster up there, saying, are they forsaking Canada? And I'm like, come on. Bryn, I love you. But it's 2025. And maybe I'm wrong. Does Bryn have a right to be upset? Do Canadians have a right to be upset that Prince Harry should be cheering for Canada? After all, he's from the royal family. They oversee Canada. But he lives in L.A. And he's there with his wife who's from L.A. Let's basically say that. How about we cheer for whoever we want? How about that? Canadian and Japan, or does Britain and Canadians that are upset have the right to be upset? It seems like a very Canadian thing, and I'm just that inclusive guy. Producer Corey saying, damn straight it is. It is what? He has the right to be upset? Or Canadians like to bitch. Yes, I think that's kind of what this zeroes in on. It's more about Canadians being upset about everything. Let them cheer for whoever they want. Canadian and Japanese audiences have set World Series ratings records this year. Game 1 drew 7 million viewers in Canada and 11.8 million in Japan. Overall, viewership is down 14% in the U.S., but the combined audience topped 30 million for the first two games. I don't know how Major League Baseball would see that, and I also don't really care. I'm like you. I've watched it all. I did see a guy, an Argos fan, who put on Twitter that The Grey Cup had more viewers than that, had 9 million last year, 2024, which is a nice segue into the second point here, just so you know what we're talking about when we come back after the break. It is the Canadian Football League because this is the Canadian hour of the program. And coming up in the second hour, we'll be talking with Vegas Golden Knights TV host Daren Millard. But it's CFL Division semifinal weekend. It's our poll question, which we do every Wednesday. What's the game of the week? Is it the Eastern semifinal with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at the Montreal Alouettes? Or is it the Western semifinal with the Calgary Stampeders at the BC Lions in a West Division collision? I had to think about it. I really did. And given the breakdown of our viewership demographics, I'm really interested to see how this vote turns out. So we've got CFL coming up after the break. NHL Frozen Frenzy, my top 5, bottom 5, NFL Week 9. Lots to come, y'all. We're live on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live, podcast 1700 AM Mission Radio across the U.S. South. And I'll tell you to get your comments in now, 902-518-3033. Be right back on Game Plus TV.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
We're back at it on the RP Show, everybody. Welcome on up inside. It's just you and me. It's the show where the viewers are the co-host. I listen to a lot of sports talk radio. I watch a lot of sports talk TV. There's always that second guy, that Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon. And a lot of times I have that Ed McMahon. On Wednesdays, I don't. It's just you and me, the viewers, the co-host, and I quite like it. From the text line, Western Dodge, 902-518-3033. From trucks to SUVs, Western Dodge has what you're looking for. Visit them or online at westerndodge.ca. People are writing in on the Blue Jays winning last night, 6-2. And somebody said, if I was Scruffy, I wouldn't be showing my face either. This is the co-host from yesterday who said the Blue Jays are done in this series. I'll always have Scruffy's back. He's always had mine for decades. But let me let you in on a little secret on this little sports talk biz, which clearly know what I'm doing. It takes huge balls to be in the hot take business. Huge. Because if you're wrong, you get them crushed. And Scruffy's got huge balls. So, yeah, he was wrong. He's wrong a lot. Nobody bats 1,000. I've had a few that I'm wrong on too. So good for Scruffy for saying that. Y'all remember him. Asking the viewers, what did we learn about the Blue Jays in their win last night in Game 4 to tie this series up? Rich in Edmonton says, we learned that the Jays can have an incredibly gutsy performance after a heartbreaking loss. Jeff in Toronto says, we didn't learn, but we were reminded of how resilient this Jays team is. With regards to Prince Harry wearing an LA Dodgers hat and some Canadians having their feathers ruffled over that, Jeff the Stamps fan says, Harry should support the Commonwealth. That Dodgers cap was very intentional. Would you be okay with Carney cheering for whoever he wanted? Of course I would. I'm the one that's saying I'm the inclusive guy. Cheer for whoever you want. I also understand, do whatever you want, but suffer the consequences of what you do. There's no doubt if Mark Carney's dumb enough to not cheer for the Canadian team, that's his problem, not mine. Okay. So I'm just sprinkling in some of the Blue Jays comments as we go. And from the text line, 902-518-3033, Rob in the Queen City writes that he says, hats off to the Jays, very resilient team, and they are a team. Contributions from everyone. Wonder if they win this series if they get invited to the White House. LOL. Well, what I can tell you, they're not thinking about that. That is we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We have a Game 5 to win and then a Game 6 to win. We'll worry about that. It would be cool if they did, though, wouldn't it? Kirk in Toronto is watching on Game Plus TV. He says, hey, Rod, the World Series will now end in Toronto in front of a rocking Sky Dome with an entire country behind them and where they had the best home record in 2025. Bluebirds flock to the Thunderdome. That's from Kirk in Toronto. Okay. To the CFL. There are some texts from yesterday's show. Some leftovers, and who doesn't love leftovers? But I'll say it again. The poll question is, as we do every Wednesday, what is Canada's game of the week in the Canadian Football League? The poll is brought to you by EMJ Marketing. From impactful speakers to strategic marketing, EMJ Marketing is your all-in-one solution. Visit them at emjmarketing.com. By the way, 2 speaking events booked for me in Canada, one end of November, one in December. So I will be coming back to the Great White North. So, yeah, I work with EMJ Marketing. Jim Barker does, Stu Grimson does, Moose does. All the best do. Speaking of being cold, last night in the press box in Sunrise, security guard comes up to me, goes, I thought you were Canadian. I said, I am. He goes, how come you have gloves here? I'm like, you're wearing a parka. He goes, I'm from Parkland. I was cold in the press box last night, so I brought gloves. Again. Let's do what we want. Not hurt. Prince Harry's not hurting anybody by wearing a Dodgers hat. I think that's kind of back to the poll question. I also have the betting lines here for the playoff games this weekend because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm really excited about the CFL playoffs. And they're Saturday. We all remember that, right? The Eastern semifinal is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at the Montreal Alouettes. The Bombers are the underdogs of 4.5 points. That's in the East. Bombers are crossing over. In the West, it's the Mighty Horsemen, the Calgary Stampeders at the BC Lions. BC's favored by 4.5. This is at Cool Bet, the official betting partner of the RP show. And as far as the game itself goes, games go, as a Western Canadian guy, which I will always be, it's the Calgary BC game. But the Bomber game has some sizzle too. Gary in Winnipeg writes in and he says, the only way the Bombers can beat the Alouettes this weekend is if the Bombers use more than 5 offensive linemen to protect Caleros. Winnipeg has allowed too many quarterback sacks during the regular season, resulting in substandard play of the Winnipeg offense. Thanks, Coach. What I will say, and I have a few notes written down here, it's really interesting to me that since the crossover was invoked decades now ago in the Canadian Football League, isn't it interesting that no crossover team has ever won? So for those that don't know, well, everybody knows what that is now, right? Let's just use this year as an example. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers were the 4th place team in the West, but because they had a better record than the 3rd place team in the East, they will cross over and be the visitors in the Eastern semifinal at McGill. And to be honest, it's not that hard to think about. It's hard to win on the road in any league, definitely pro football. You're going to be playing better teams. Let's not forget about that. You're going into the games as underdogs. But again, it is hard to believe it's never happened. Never. I was thinking about with the teams I was with when we crossed over. We did it twice that I can remember. Rider fans, help me out. 2005, we went into Montreal, and this was a thrill for me for a lot of reasons, but just to go into Olympic Stadium, we crossed over with Marcus Crandall as our quarterback in 2005 and played the Alouettes, led by Anthony Calvillo. We got flattened. It was a pretty good crowd at Olympic Stadium that day. I was just excited to be in the home of the Expos because I never got to see an Expos game there. We got flattened there. And then 2017, we crossed over. We won in Ottawa, if you recall, in the semifinal, advanced to play the Argos in the East final and lost in the last minute. The Argos mounted a last-minute drive led by Ricky Ray, finished off by mine Cody Fajardo. I accused the officials of blatantly favoring the Argos, which I'm quite certain they did. But anyway, we got to it the last minute, or we would have at least advanced to the Grey Cup. But it didn't happen. Mark Trestman for them, Chris Jones for us. We got close. But why has no team ever crossed over and advanced to the Grey Cup? It's either really elementary or a weird quirk. And that's one of the rallying cries, I'm sure, for Winnipeg going into this. Let's be the first. They'll be using whatever mantra they can find. John Ohm writes in, he says, Bombers will win this one. Which, by the way, if you go to rodpeterson.com right now, the second from the top item is a CFL notebook where we get down and dirty with these playoff games and game notes and so forth. And I don't know. I can't agree with Jim Barker on this quarterback, Davis Alexander from Montreal. So he's 11-0. He's never lost. John Ohm, you're telling me that the first loss for Davis Alexander is going to be against Winnipeg? I don't think so. I don't think the Bombers are winning this game. Jim's got such a huge problem. And it's a weird quirk in the rules. We had to sort this out. Vancouver Eric, we had this debate a couple of weeks ago. He wasn't really the starting quarterback. He was the backup to Cody Fajardo, who was hurt. Potato. He's 11-0 in his first 11 games. End of story. That's CFL history regarding why no team has ever advanced to the Grey Cup when crossing over. Vancouver Eric says, you're the 4th best in the West. You're really not that good. No surprises here. That's what I was saying earlier. You're playing better teams on the road. The odds are always going to be stacked against you. Okay. John Ohm, you're a Rider fan, so put the Pilsner down, bro. 902-518-3033 is the text line. The other thing, so I'm more interested in the Western semifinal. I'm not going to spend 6 hours watching CFL football on Saturday. I have a few things to do, not the least of which is the Dallas Stars are here visiting the Florida Panthers, so I'll be at that game. But the Nathan Rourke story is a great one. And that's why I can't. I think Kevin the Medium is watching from Mexico, and he's going to be with us Thursday, Friday. That's where I can't get sucked into the irrational fandom of fans. And Kevin's becoming more of a media guy. But, I mean, the Lions fans and their media. Remember, Julio Caravata was on the air with us in August, their color commentator and former player, and they're also down. The Lions had a terrible defense. And here they are, winners of 6 in a row, hosting the Western semifinal with potentially the league MVP at quarterback, Nathan Rourke. What a job done by Buck Pierce. I mean, everybody thinks it's hands down Corey Mace will win Coach of the Year out of Saskatchewan, but to take over basically a mild rebuild, what Buck Pierce and Ryan Rigmaiden did, and to advance to hosting a playoff game, it's a pretty damn good coaching job. But like any pro league, all the coaches are good. So I'll be interested to see what the votes are when they tally them up. How did I know that the second I saw Prince Harry wearing a Dodgers hat and his wife Meghan Markle also wearing a Dodgers hat, and he being Prince Harry of the monarchy, the overlords of Canada, that people would be pissed off? People are always pissed off in Canada. Vintage Sasko writes in. He says, "Hi, Father Rod. By the way, I just passed 9 months as an ordained minister. Now you know. Hi, Father Rod. Those criticizing Harry and his hot wife for cheering for the Dodgers need to calm down." Signed, Vintage Sasko, a diehard Jays fan, again, since September. At least you're honest. Same here. What was it, around July? You longtime P1 viewers, you guys that watch every day. What's that the guy wrote in and said, you guys are a bandwagon Blue Jays show. Yes, we are. Thanks for noticing. Similar to what I've been telling our staff. I got a lot of mail yesterday. A lot of people hate Scruffy, and a lot of people love Scruffy. Perfect. When you don't have an opinion, that's when we're in trouble. That's when we're in big trouble. John Ohm says, get over Harry wearing a Dodgers cap. Grow up, people. I'm just going to pick at it at the scab that it is for fun. I don't know who the hell's talking. Somebody wrote in Rob. Are you referring to me? Because my name's not Rob. I've actually started to go by the name Rodney. I've been going by the name Rodney in Florida. To be honest, it works. It works. Rodney. Good morning, Rodney. Hey, Rodney. Rodney, you're next. Hi, Rod. I don't hate it. It is my name. Asking the viewers what we learned about the Blue Jays' Game 4 victory in the World Series. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, writes in. He says, we learned that Schneider has found a way around our bad bullpen by using starters Bassett and Scherzer in relief roles and Varland, Fluharty, and Lauer, and keeping the rest on the bench. Plus 6 plus runs helps. But we got a chance. Yeah, I'm referring to the Blue Jays as we. Very rarely do I become the fan. It's nice that I can actually be the fan with the Blue Jays. NHL on deck and more. We're live on the Game Plus television network. We'll be right back after this.
Country's hottest party is coming. James Barker Band, Bud Light Buckle Up Tour 2025. Live across Canada with special guests Ryan and Rory. Yeah, let's keep it simple. November 20th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at zasktix.ca. James Barker Band Live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's been a fun show. 30 minutes already. And all we talked about is the Blue Jays and the CFL. It's not even summer anymore. But I forgot to get these sponsors in. Pump Jack Steakhouse and Saloon brings you our CFL and NFL picks. We'll be doing those Thursday, Friday as we get closer to the weekend. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Pump Jack's Cathedral in Regina, Pump Jack's Weyburn in Weyburn. Say it with me. Let me continue. There's so many things that I want to get to. And let's just sprinkle in a fun story here. On the radio this morning, here, Sports Talk, the most famous Miami. There's 5 all sports radio stations here, but the best one is WQAM, and I listen to it all the time. Joe Rose is the morning man, used to play for the Dolphins. You've heard me talk about him. They're talking about the betting scandal, Chauncey Billups, the poker ring, Terry Rozier of the Heat. And it's like some of us see things the same way. It's very rare, but Joe was going off today going, what really is the problem with poker or the mob or being if you don't partake in it, what really is the problem? The poker had nothing to do with the NBA. Just happened to be that the coach of the Portland Trailblazers was elbows deep in this ring. And Joe says, look at all those beautiful skyscrapers in downtown Miami. They were built by cocaine. Nobody had a problem with that. It reminds me of being in an Uber in Puerto Vallarta and the driver telling me that the mayor of a certain Mexican city has moved more snow than Bobcat or John Deere. Nobody cares in Mexico. because they don't have any taxes. Nor do we in Florida. So who cares? And, further down that road, it got me thinking of my former life, where so many of you didn't know me. That includes producer Corey, but I associated with the mob, but I didn't partake. But they liked me, and we would hang out quite a bit. And frankly, I had, from time to time, the authorities calling me saying, Rod, you can't be hanging out with these guys. And I'm like, but I'm not doing anything wrong. They are, but when they do, I go home. I'm not participating in what they're doing. And they're like, no, but it's guilt by association. And I'm like, but I'm not doing anything wrong. And they're like, well, suit yourself, but you probably shouldn't do that. It completely changed my life. And I look back and go, oh, I wasn't doing anything wrong. And that's why, moving to the States, immigration, all that stuff was not a problem. But it's like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't. I just talked myself into not agreeing with Joe Rose. But yeah. And by the way, when some of my associates got in real deep, it was pretty easy to walk away. But again, I wasn't doing anything wrong. They seemed like nice guys. Back on point. Point 3 of the Quick Six Show topics. It was NHL Frozen Frenzy yesterday. Did you all notice? Or is that more of an American thing? I feel like it was, because ESPN was all over it. But among the highlights, Max Domi and Matthew Nyes each scored 2 goals. Toronto topped Calgary 4-3. Jack Eichel scored twice in the final 4:59 to help Vegas beat Carolina 6-3. That gives the Golden Knights 2 wins over the Cup-contending Hurricanes in a week. Vegas Golden Knights TV host Daren Millard will be with us in the next segment, or next hour. Kyle Connor's wrist shot, 46 seconds into overtime, gave Winnipeg a 4-3 overtime victory over Minnesota. Its 9th straight win against their Central Division rival. Cole Caulfield's second goal of the night, scored 44 seconds into overtime, lifted the visiting Montreal Canadiens to a 4-3 win over the Seattle Kraken. And that's like 5 of the 16 games. And I'm just going to throw this out to you, because the one thing that I've always done with my show and my blog and everything that I do is try to make you think. You're not always going to agree with me, but I want you to think. Like I said, what did we learn about the Blue Jays last night? What did we think of the 16 games in the NHL? Was it too much? The answer was, yeah, I think it was too much. Especially when there's only 1 game today. The Leafs at Columbus. You go from 16 games to 1. Now, I get it was a marketing thing. And by the way, you notice the only complaining I do is complaining about complainers. Moose has made that very clear to me. Right? You complain about the complainers. Complaining actually works, believe it or not, because here's my point. I was talking to Beth and Usher at American Bank Arena before the game last night about the NHL Frozen Frenzy, 16 games all starting 15 minutes apart. And I said, remember last year, the game here started at 5:45 in the afternoon. She's like, what a nightmare that was. Yeah, the rink was half empty or more for 2 periods because you couldn't get there. It's a pain in the ass. It's the middle of rush hour. And thank God here last night, Anaheim, Florida, the game started at 7. And even then, through the first period, the rink was half full because I'm sitting there going, shh. She had told me what the attendance was going to be because they all know. And it wasn't anywhere close to that. But then by the middle of the third period, the rink's basically full. I'm like, where the hell did everybody come from? Thank God we started at 7, not 5:45. So all the complaining that NHL fans did, is my point, actually worked. They didn't start games prior to 6 p.m., thank God. Somehow they got going on about beer in the comment section here. Clearly I don't partake. I had somebody, by the way, Rodney, you're kind of boring, somebody said to me. I said, I'll take boring. Yep. Don't know anything about the beer talk. Don't know anything about the gambling talk. I'm home in bed minding my own business. It's a great way to live. BC Eric writes in and says, all 5 radio shows talking football? My kind of town. Like I say, they've flicked back to football. As of Tuesday morning, all they were talking about was the World Series and the 18-inning marathon. But by 24 hours later, it's all football. And Joe Rose talking about cocaine building downtown Miami. Hilarious. Went through those scores of some of the games last night. Here's my top 5, bottom 5 through 3 weeks of the regular season, everybody. Read them and weep. Number 1 team in the NHL is the New Jersey Devils, because number 1's number 1. If you look at the standings right now, they're number 1. Number 2 is Colorado. They just beat New Jersey last night, part of the Frozen Frenzy. Number 3 is the Vegas Knights, despite the fact I saw them on the weekend and they weren't very good. But it's only October and they know that. Number 4 is the Winnipeg Jets. There you go, John. You don't have to say, what about Winnipeg? Where's my Jets? And number 5, Montreal. I can't, until they slow down, they're all that. They've won 8 of their last 10. I've got Montreal as my number 5 team in the NHL. The bottom 5, you'll be happy. Joe Lazito, your Islanders have moved out of the bottom 5. He always messages me on various things I say on the show. He watches in Long Island, usually later in the day. 5th worst team in the NHL, 28th overall, is Minnesota Wild. I know that's hard to believe, but they're only won 2 of their last 10 games, Minnesota. No, number 29 is the Boston Bruins. 4th worst team in the NHL, the Boston Bruins. And get used to it. They're not coming out of it. 3rd worst team, number 30 overall, is the St. Louis Blues. They've lost 4 in a row. 31st is the Calgary Flames. I just can't bring myself to make them 32nd, even though that's where they reside if you look at the standings right now. I don't know where they're going, but I just can't bring myself to say that they're the worst team in the NHL, even though the standings say that they are. And the very last team in the NHL to me is the San Jose Sharks, because by the time I think this is all said and done, San Jose will be statistically worse than the Calgary Flames and everybody else. But that's my top 5, bottom 5. Again, New Jersey, Colorado, Vegas, Winnipeg, Montreal. And on the other side, Minnesota, Boston, St. Louis, Calgary, San Jose. Jeff the Stamps fan says, what, after the big win against the Rangers? It didn't last, Jeff. It didn't last. If you notice, they went into Toronto last night and lost in what could have been considered the game of the night. I don't like it. I don't like it either. Okay? I don't like it either. We still have more to get to. I want to tell you that the text line is brought to you by Western Dodge, 902-518-3033. Ready for a new ride? Head to Western Dodge, where the deals are real and the service is legendary. Check them out. It's our summer home in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. By the way, coming up in hour 2, Daren Millard from the Vegas Golden Knights television crew, the host of the whole darn thing. Darren Drager's prepped me for that interview, by the way. That's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way. You're watching the RP Show live on a Wednesday here on the Game Plus TV network.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly, we built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hi, everybody. The only problem, and it's not a problem, well, it's a small problem, with me doing these shows alone on Wednesdays, I tend to forget to read the sponsors. I get so ensconced in the conversation with you. So I'll ask you, does your message stand out? Because at Outlaw Communications, we make sure it does. Tony Plato brings 35 years of communication and leadership expertise, from media training and leadership coaching to strategic crisis planning and compelling content. He'll help you lead with confidence. Outlaw Communications, where creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. Check him out at tonyplater.com. And by the way, the junior hockey report for the Mad Greek Eatery in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. The Warriors aren't playing tonight, but there are 5 games. Red Deer at Calgary, Edmonton at Lethbridge, Brandon visits the Regina Pats, Everett's at Kamloops, and the Saskatoon Blades visit Spokane. Your Moose Jaw Warriors are off tonight, so that gives you time to get down to the Mad Greek Eatery. Say hey to Johnny Utretas for me, the Mad Greek. Tell him that you saw us talking about him on the RP show. He'll give you a good seat in the bathroom. Whether it's pizza, ribs, or authentic Greek favorites, make it the Mad Greek Eatery tonight, open till 11 p.m. Order online, pick up, or dine in at the madgreekeatery.com. We've got some great audience participation here. But I got to drop in a sports update for the Ultimate Fan Zone, your home for jerseys, collectibles, and all the gear you need. I get all my stuff there. Trust me, I do. Visit them today or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca. Blue Jays rookie Trey Savage starts tonight as Toronto looks to grab a 3-2 World Series lead over L.A. The Dodgers counter with 2-time Cy Young Award winner Blake Snell, who took the loss, as we all know, in Game 1 Friday. Toronto even the series 2-2 Tuesday night with a 6-2 win behind Vladdy's homer and Shane Bieber's steady start. I was asking the viewers, and I'll ask you too, what did we learn last night? Because for me, I learned really, or it dawned on me, the Blue Jays legitimately have a chance to win this thing. I should have known it going into the series, but it really hit home last night. Now a best of 3, and Shohei Ohtani's human. And this Blue Jays team might be a team of destiny. And this isn't a fluke. I believe that they're going to be back. Oh, man, what a series. Meanwhile, Seattle catcher Cal Raleigh, the big dumper, is the Players' Choice Awards Player of the Year, chosen annually by MLB players. Rowley becomes just the 7th player in MLB history to hit 60 homers in a season, setting a franchise record for a Mariner and league records for a switch hitter and a catcher. The Raptors look to end a 3-game skid tonight when they face the Houston Rockets at Scotiabank Arena. Toronto's 1-3 to start the season, while Houston sits 1-2. NBA, can you just back off a little bit until the World Series is done? It's the one thing I heard Joe Rose talking about on the radio this morning, is that the Heat are the highest scoring team in the NBA. I'm like, I don't care. Chris Jarl writes in, hey, Chris, I'm so sorry about this. He goes, woohoo, boss is away. I should have maybe just said your first name. He goes, the last time I watched live, I texted in. Then Rod said my name on the air. Boss heard and was ticked. I was texting and watching instead of working. My bad. Put in your headphones. You know to do that, don't you, Chris? Tony from Cochrane, Alberta. Writes in. I said, what are you guys talking about beer for? Tony says, you mentioned Pilsner, Rod. Now we're all thirsty. Advertising does work. Advertising does work. Jeff, the Stamps fan, is at his trolling best today, but he's not trolling me. He's trolling the BC Lions fans. You guys can take it out on him. This is for those that are watching on YouTube. For everybody else that are watching on television, Game Plus, I'll get back to business. 45-year-old Manny Pacquiao says talks are underway for a possible rematch with 48-year-old Floyd Mayweather Jr. next year. Pacquiao says negotiations are ongoing for what would be a sequel to their 2015 fight of the century. Mayweather has also been linked to an exhibition with 59-year-old Mike Tyson. He's got to do something. His gym just closed down the street here in downtown Boca Raton, which is odd because it was always busy. Every time I drove by, I'm looking in the windows at Mayweather's boxing workouts. There's always something going on in there. Maybe just bad management. Would we believe that Floyd Mayweather might not be the best businessman? I don't know. Green Bay Packers quarterback Jordan Love and a pair of Tampa Bay Buccaneers linebacker Anthony Nelson and kicker Chase McLaughlin are the NFC offensive, defensive, and special teams players of the week for games played in Week 8. Meanwhile, Bills running back James Cook, Miami Dolphins linebacker Jordan Brooks, and New York Jets wide receiver Isaiah Williams are the AFC offensive, defensive, and special teams players of the week. That just came out Wednesday morning, and that is your sports update, proudly presented by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store, Moose Jaw. Get your game day gear in store or online at ultimatefanzone.ca. I'll tell you that I can go on for days and days and days here. That's what I do. And I'm somewhat over-prepared today. I got so many things to talk about. That's why Wednesdays are special for me, because it's just me. Don't have a co-host. I love those other days when Kevin the Medium's with me, Scruffy's with me, Moose is with me, whatever. I was pretty excited. A Vegas entertainer wrote me, slid into my DMs last night while I was at the hockey game, the Panthers game. He's like, I'm just sitting here watching you on Vegas TV right now. When are you coming out here? I'm not going to say who the entertainer was. Do you want to take a guess? And I said, hey, good to hear from you. I've never met him. And he goes, if you're ever coming out to Vegas, would love to be on your show sometime. And I'm like, okay. Who do you think it was? Carrot Top, Chris Angel, John Taffer. Who's the guy that did the drop? Wayne Newton. I got kicked out of a Chris Angel performance. Producer Corey's yelling in my, I guess you're not supposed to take pictures. Yeah. Could have been worse. They're like, give us your phone. At that time of my life, I was like Tom Brady. You're not getting my phone. But they took it, deleted all the photos. Who do you think the Vegas entertainer was that slid into my DMs wanting to get on the RP? Just sitting here watching you on Vegas TV. Like, that's my friend Jeff in Estevan. He's a hotelier there. He's like, Rod, do you ever sit back and just go, wow, I'm like, no, I don't, but I should. I should stop and smell the roses sometime. It's just not really in my DNA. BC Eric writes in and says, Engelbert Humperdinck? He's still alive? I don't even know who Rich Harrison is. Everybody's saying Carrot Top. It wasn't Carrot Top. It wasn't Carrot Top. Celine Dion? No. Not Wayne Newton, who, by the way, I don't like Wayne Newton because he was trying to pick up Clark Griswold's wife in Vegas Vacation. You don't mow another man's lawn. They were just acting, Rod. Oh. Jeff in Toronto says, a Vegas showgirl? No. Keep going. John, says the puppet dude. Terry Fader? No, but that would have been cool. Which, by the way, that kid I was telling you about, I was sitting beside at the Panthers game last night, Alex from CBS Sports Network. He was like, hey, Rod, you broadcast from Super Bowls, right? I'm like, yep. Can't remember what the question was after that, but my mind just went to the Las Vegas Super Bowl. And, well, I guess the thing is, Alex is originally from Toronto, and we were comparing Grey Cubs versus Super Bowls, and there really is no comparison. One's just smaller. Come on. But I remember that was the second Super Bowl I ever covered in Vegas. I was just starting to get my mind around how big it is, because when you roll into a Grey Cup, if you go Wednesday, you're way too early. You can get in there on Friday and be fine, but not if you're hosting a show like this. You kind of got to get there Wednesday. In the NFL Super Bowl, if you're not there by Monday, you're a loser. And then what really sucks about that is New Orleans, where crap hole hotels are charging $1,200 a night. $1,200 US per night at the Super Bowl. But you're getting all these game notes. Sorry, I do get the game notes, but these invites in the NFL, it's like, hey, John, this is Vegas. I don't think every Super Bowl is not like this, but they're like, Carrot Top is holding a news conference at 2 o'clock on Radio Row. Wayne Newton is holding a news conference at 3 o'clock at the Tropicana. John Taffer is holding a news conference at 4 p.m. at Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville. I'm like, oh, what? John Taffer is holding a news conference? About what? It's the NFL, baby. Speaking of those NFL game notes, I'll get into more next hour, and Daren Millard will be with us from the Vegas Golden Knights TV broadcast. NFL, before we look ahead to Week 9, Week 8, just so you know, was one of the most lopsided since the merger with the AFL in 1970. Only one game, the Jets' 39-38 win over Cincinnati, was decided by single digits. Go back and think about it. That was the first time that happened since the final week in 1970. A record-tying 9 games were decided by at least 18 points this weekend. The Jets come back from a 15-point deficit in the fourth quarter was a surprise. Of course, it was their first win of the year. The Colts' Jonathan Taylor scored 3 touchdowns in a game for the 4th time this season. New England's Drake May has moved into the top 3 in MVP odds, by the way. It was a fantastic week of NFL football for individual performances, not so much for teams. By the way, Hour 1 brought to you in part by Suds Full-Service Car Wash. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds Regina's unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. Coming back with Hour 2, we will be going to the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. We will be joined by Daren Millard of the Golden Knights TV crew, plus more of me and you here on Game Plus TV.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show on a Wednesday. It's a very special day today. It's the kind of show I was hoping for since we went to the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network to have a Vegas Golden Knights personality on. We're trying to get as many as we can. And of course, we're across Canada on the Game Plus television network, where that nation is on fire with the Blue Jays actually having a chance to win the World Series. Can you believe it? Oh yeah, we got a lot to get to. But as far as that Golden Knights thing goes, Daren Millard will be joining us coming up in the next segment, host of Vegas Golden Knights TV broadcast. And I'm quite excited about this. I'm going to say it again. Breaking news. A Vegas entertainer DM'd me last night. He goes, I'm just sitting here watching your show, Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. You ever coming out to Vegas? Can I get on your show? I was like, wow. I had to call Moose. I was all excited. We're actually having an impact, Moose. It's happening. It's happening. So keep your eyes open for that. And I'm asking the viewers today, who do you think that Vegas entertainer was? We've had some people writing in. Daniel Negreanu, the poker star. Some have said Donnie Osmond. Wouldn't that be something? Mike is watching in Winnipeg at Ice Time Sports. He says George Wallace. No. Is he still doing Vegas shows? But keep him coming. It was a male, so that eliminates Celine Dion or Shania when she's there, or or any showgirls. But yeah, it's fun. Producer Corey writes in. He says, I told Rod this would happen. Yes, you did, Corey. There is your moment. Yeah, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Okay, let's get down to business. For God's sakes, we're a sports show. The big story is this. The 2025 World Series is now a best of 3. The Toronto Blue Jays tied the Fall Classic showdown at 2 wins each after beating the LA Dodgers 6-2 Tuesday night. The teams play again tonight at Dodger Stadium. Game 5. Blue Jays rookie righty Trey Savage will be on the mound tonight while the Dodgers counter with lefty Blake Snell. The analysis of this has been amazing. I can't speak. You people in Nevada are going to have to help me. I'm sitting here in Florida. Everybody was talking about this World Series after Game 3 that went 18 innings. But it only took 24 hours, and now they're all back to football. But not on this show and not across Canada because it's the Blue Jays, again, have tied up the World Series at 2-2. So there was some numbers. You'd have to go to my website. I can't remember now. I've had 97,000 figures go through my head since this morning. But I think it's of teams that win Game 5 in a series that's tied 2-2 in the World Series, 67%, I think, go on to win the whole series. And the other thing I saw was Game 4 winners, which the Jays did last night, win 72% of the time. They actually have a chance. And I've been asking the viewers today, what did we learn coming out of that game? I learned, number one, that the Blue Jays actually have a chance to win this thing. When they took Game 1, I'm like, that's nice. They can play with these guys. And frankly, when they went 18 innings and almost won, I'm like, oh, man. But they lost. But now they forced a best of 3. And it's like, oh, wait. They could win this thing. By the way, did I mention off the top? I can't remember. I've been blowing it up everywhere. Vegas Golden Knights TV host Daren Millard will be joining us in the next segment. I'm very excited about that. Thank you, Ducky. Oh, the other thing that's got Canada raging today is Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle were photographed at the game wearing LA Dodgers hats. And I don't know how, I would think a lot of people are familiar with the monarchy. Prince Harry from the royal family, Buckingham Palace. They do oversee Canada. They are the overlords of the United Kingdom, the Commonwealth. More the Commonwealth than the United Kingdom. I don't know. It's been a long time since I cared about that. I don't care what Prince Harry wears is kind of the point. It's wear what you want. Literally had somebody write in earlier and say, what if the Prime Minister was wearing a Dodgers hat? But he wasn't. Who cares? Canadian and Japanese audiences have set World Series ratings records this year. Game 1 drew 7 million viewers in Canada and 11.8 million in Japan. Overall viewership is down 14% in the U.S., but the combined global audience topped 30 million for the first 2 games. So you would have to ask the commissioner, Rob Manfred, how he feels about that. I don't know how he would feel about that. A lot of people are watching. Point 2, we'll jump to the National Football League. Week 8 sucked in a lot of ways. Just the games weren't good. They weren't close, except for the Jets winning for the first time this year. But when the Buffalo Bills host the Kansas City Chiefs Sunday in the second window, 4:25 Eastern on CBS, that's got to be the game of the week, right? That'll be our poll question Thursday is what is the game, America's game of the week in the NFL? Because it's going to be the 9th matchup between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. And what's interesting about this, and I love reading the game notes. For years and years and years, it was CFL game notes, NHL game notes, junior hockey game notes. Now I'm getting the NFL game notes. And I just find them fascinating. Like in those 9 matchups, the Bills have won the last 4 regular season matchups. The Chiefs have won the past 4 playoff meetings, including last year's AFC Championship game in KC. So for the bettors, of which I'm not, but based on that, you would pick the Bills to win this game. That's a juicy game. The Vikings are at the Lions on Sunday. The Week 9 meeting will mark the 127th all-time matchup between the division rivals. And again, back to the bettors. I'm sure they use this information. I don't know. But the Vikings all-time, 80 wins. Lions, 45 wins. And I know the Lions have been terrible for a century. I get that. But do you factor in the history? And there have been 2 ties. That's a delicious game. And 3 of the 4 division leaders in the AFC, Denver, Indianapolis, and New England, have at least 6 wins this season and have winning streaks of 4 or more games. The 2 NFC teams with 6 wins, Philadelphia and Tampa Bay. each have a Week 9 bye. So that's a little bit of a tee up for this weekend, Week 9 in the NFL. It's far better than Week 8. And then it kicks off. They were talking about this on the radio again this morning. I guess the Dolphins are home Thursday night to the Baltimore Ravens. But it's at this point. Dolphins won on the weekend in Atlanta. It was the best game they've played in years. And people are like, why are you winning? All you're doing is tanking your draft stock and saving the coach's job, which you don't want him anyways. Why are you winning? So I was a little surprised they were even talking about the fact that the Dolphins are home to Lamar and the Ravens on Thursday night, but that's what kicks it off. By the way, our NFL picks are brought to you by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early and stay late at the place where friends meet. Pump Jack's Cathedral and Pump Jack's Weyburn. Point 3 of the quick 6. Did you observe NHL Frozen Frenzy? Jack Eichel scored twice in the final 4:59 to help Vegas beat Carolina 6-3 in one of 16 games. That gives the Golden Knights 2 wins over the Cup-contending Hurricanes in a week. And in a second, I'll get to my NHL top 5, bottom 5 teams here in Week 3 of the regular season. But as far as the around the NHL, Max Domi and Matthew Nyes each scored twice. And the Toronto Maple Leafs topped Calgary 4-3. Kyle Connor's wrist shot 46 seconds into overtime gave Winnipeg a 4-3 overtime win over Minnesota. And Cole Caulfield's second goal of the night, scored 44 seconds into overtime, lifted the visiting Montreal Canadiens to a 4-3 win over the Seattle Kraken. I am somewhat rhetorically, facetiously asking, is 16 games too much in a day? But they only do it twice, and they've already done it once before Tuesday, so they're not going to do it again this year, the NHL. I do think it's too much because literally, I got a lot of people blowing up my phone. Did you see this goal? Did you see that penalty? Did you see this play? And I'm like, no! There were 16 games of 60 minutes each. Add up the minutes. I can't watch it all. I cannot. My little slice of the pie was the Florida Panthers home to the Anaheim Ducks, which was... I don't know why they like this show in the States. I don't know. I know what they do in Canada because of what we talk about. But in the States, we're talking about things that nobody else talks about. That might be it. Joel Quenneville comes in with the Anaheim Ducks, the former Chicago Blackhawks coach, forced to resign as the head coach of the Florida Panthers 5 seasons ago. I had just gotten here. And the Panthers were 7-0 under Joel Quenneville, marching. They would go on to the President's Trophy, but under a different coach because Joel Quenneville was forced to resign. I don't know by who. Still don't know by who. Whether it was the Panthers or the NHL, doesn't matter. Last night he came back for the first time. Was forced to resign because of the Chicago Blackhawks abuse scandal. We won't get into that. If you don't know, you don't need to. But I talked to George Richards from the Florida Hockey Now website. And I said, did you get any play on that story you did, George, on Quenneville? He's like, welcome to hockey in South Florida, where 5 seasons ago, nobody was paying attention to what the Florida Panthers were doing. So when Quenneville came back last night, people didn't even know who he was. They actually welcomed him on the scoreboard. We're in the press box going, did they just do that? But I mean, he didn't resign in any squalor or anything like that. And actually, I do host a Panthers Lightning podcast, Florida's most watched hockey show. And I might ask it there. Would the Panthers have won a Stanley Cup under Joel Quenneville? They were on their way to doing it when he was forced to resign. But again, nobody was paying attention 5 years ago. And it was kind of nice. I want to ask Daren Millard about that when he comes up next. I should give you his bio here now so I can get to the hardcore questions when he's with us. But it was just about a hockey game last night. It was just Anaheim and Mason McTavish coming in to face Sam Reinhart and the Florida Panthers. No extraneous crap that in Canada would have been blown up by guys like me 100 times more than it should be. I don't know if Vegas goes through that or not. I don't think that it does. I don't know that it's a hockey town, although maybe it's becoming a hockey town. I'm not totally sure. But was it too much? 902-518-3033 is where you can reach us on the Western Dodge text line. Ready for a new ride? Head to Western Dodge where the deals are real and the service is legendary. I can vouch. I think it was too much, but it was a marketing gimmick They did it last year, went head-to-head against the NBA. This year they did not. So for whatever reason, I don't know if they lost the ratings war last year or got lost in the shuffle. I'm not sure, but they didn't go head-to-head against the NBA opening day like they did a year ago. It's 11 minutes after the hour. We stop and pause and observe that every day. Visualize a positive outcome. It actually works. Believe it or not, it works. I told you my NHL top 5, bottom 5. For whatever reason, people seem to care what I think. Makes no sense to me. But do it every week. And it's interesting that it's been changing mightily early on. It's a little like the NFL season. What was I saying earlier? We just came out of the week, the most lopsided games since 1970 in the NFL. Everything's sorting out. Took a half a season in the NFL. How long is it going to take for the NHL? But my number one team is the New Jersey Devils. If you open up the standings right now, go buy a newspaper. They're number one in the NHL, the New Jersey Devils. Number 2 is Colorado. They beat New Jersey last night. So they're right on their heels, but in the standings, they're not number 1. New Jersey is. So it's New Jersey 1, Colorado 2. The Vegas Golden Knights 3. Don't be fooled. They had a rough week through Florida, but they had the big win last night in Carolina. Vegas is still all that. To me, number 3 in the NHL, and should be number 1. Even here in Florida on the weekend, when the Panthers were blanking them 3-0, the Panthers people were at least courteous enough to say, well, they don't have Mark Stone and Aiden Hill. They're paying attention now. Number 4 is the Winnipeg Jets. You're welcome, Winnipeg. And number 5, the Montreal Canadiens. Les Habitants, the Canadiens. How can you not? They've won 8 of 10. I don't know if this trend's going to continue, but here we are. And the bottom 5, which a lot of pundits won't do. If you go to NHL.com, they only do the top 16 in their power rankings. They don't go 1 to 32 because that's not polite. It's not the hockey thing to do. But I don't mind. In reverse chronological order, Minnesota's 28. They've only won 2 of their last 10 games. 29, the Boston Bruins. 30, the St. Louis Blues, who've lost 4 in a row. That's not going to last, I don't think. Number 31's the Calgary Flames, because I simply cannot bring myself to put them last. San Jose Sharks, number 32. One man's opinion. Don't shoot the messenger. Was it too much? Because we went from 16 games Tuesday in the NHL to 1 today. The Leafs at Columbus tonight. By the way, are you stuck for gift ideas? Hour 2 of the RP show is brought to you by Suds Full Service Car Wash, where they have us on every day in the lobby. Hi, Kirby. Suds gift cards available online at our location or at Costco. They're the ultimate for anyone who loves a clean ride. Visit sudsregina.com. There are a ton of Canadian Football League fans watching us on Game Plus, and more than you would think watching us here on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. So point 5 of the Quick 6 show topics is the CFL Division semifinal weekend. It's at hand. Every Wednesday during the CFL weekend, CFL season, we say, what's Canada's game of the week? There are only 2. The Eastern semifinal pits the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at the Montreal Alouettes. In the West, it's the Calgary Stampeders at the BC Lions. You can vote on Twitter or YouTube. I'll save you the time. If you don't want to vote, I'll tell you right now, over 60% saying it's the West Division game. Stamps at the BC Lions. We can talk more about that later if you want. But when we come back, an interview that I've been waiting to do for a very long time. Daren Millard will join us. Television host of the Vegas Golden Knights. He's another one of those day one guys in Vegas, and we got plenty to go over. Daren Millard joins us next. Here live. Get your questions in 902-518-3033. We'll be right back on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, Game Plus TV, and 1700 Mission Radio.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. We are live across the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and, of course, across Canada on the Game Plus Television Network. Very excited to welcome in, coming out of a very busy weekend, Daren Millard, the host of Vegas Golden Knights television broadcast. How you doing, Daren?
I'm doing good. It was a fun weekend, 3-4, which is always taxing on everybody. It was a road trip, and the team was able to finish it up on a positive note. So good.
I was very pleased to have you communicating with me through that, because I know how busy you are with this hockey team. And it was nice to see your guys when they came through here through South Florida. But I'll be honest, let's start there. It wasn't the best weekend. Shutout in Florida 3-0. Lost in overtime at Tampa Bay. What changed in Carolina to finish things off on a good note?
Oh, I think a little bit of desperation, a little bit of getting your game in order, realizing what you have to do to beat teams like Florida, Tampa, and Carolina that all play in a very similar style, up-tempo, pressure, certainly forcing you to make decisions with the puck, and they got better as the road trip went on. Now, the Florida game was coming off 4 complete days away from game action, and they had trouble getting into their rhythm in that one, and I'll give them a little bit of leeway there. The Tampa Bay game was 2 different games. The first 2 periods was all Tampa, and the third period Vegas was able to find this game, and I got a single point out of it thanks to some strong goaltending from Carl Lindbaum. But it was a real positive aspect, that third period in Tampa, to be able to find their game, and you saw the positive impact of that in the victory against the Carolina Hurricanes, which ended up being a sweep of Carolina, and that hasn't happened for 4 years.
You know, you talk hockey all the time. It's your job, but I want to lob a few questions at you that you might not normally get. I want to know what it's like to be the host of the Vegas Golden Knights television broadcast. You're a day one guy, as I said earlier, and the team's never really lost. Like, I talk to my betting friends out there, the gambling guys like Johnny Avello from DraftKings are like, the fans are spoiled. They lose 2 in a row. They think the sky's falling. They've never had a bad team. Like, that's pretty cool.
This is the 9th season. They missed the playoffs once. They've been to the Stanley Cup final a couple of times. They're perennial contenders for the Western Conference championship, and they are in it every single year. And Daren Elliott, my partner on the pre and the post game show, the intermissions, we joke around all the time what a luxury it is to cover a team like this, where if you do hit a wonky period, you've won 2 games out of 6, and you're a game below 500, but people are wondering, just like what we saw earlier on this season where they went to overtime their first 3 games, and people are wondering, why are they even going to overtime? This last road trip was a little bit of that, and I joked on the air yesterday that you got a molehill and you got a mountain, and you don't want to make a molehill into a mountain, and that's exactly what they avoided doing on this road trip by winning against Carolina and picking up a 500 road trip. But to answer your question, it's a luxury, and it's a real privilege and a thrill to be able to cover a game where you're talking 85% positive play on the ice, and everybody's in a good mood around the rink, and the coaches are positive. That certainly makes my job easier, but also a lot more fun along the way, because we've all covered bad teams. And it's not fun to be that guy going in and asking those questions. And the players don't want to talk about it. You can tell the players all the times in the world that you're not trying to stir up trouble, but they're not buying that because you're asking these tough questions. So this is a very positive situation.
Yeah, and I think you would agree. You're lucky to have a boss in Kelly McCrimmon who is a hockey man, but is fair. So he knows that you, Daren, aren't going to be picking on anybody. If they're bad, you'll say it. Fortunately, they're just very rarely ever bad. You know?
Yeah, Kelly and I go back a long way. I'm fortunate to have an extensive history with Kelly, so I sort of know where the lines are and where I'm being fair and where I'm being a little bit nitpicky and maybe crossing a line. And that's all that Kelly and George and Bruce Cassidy ask is if you're going to go into an area that maybe people would rather you not, as long as you're fair, you've got the rope. But if you start asking questions just to be known or looking for clicks or stir up trouble, sports talk radio, that kind of stuff, then there's going to be an issue. And I respect that we've got that leeway to go down that fair and path that is needed to be held to a certain level.
Sure. So when I was in Vegas for Super Bowl 2 years ago, it was made very clear to me, Daren, by the locals. They're like, we're not a Raiders town. No, stop. No. We're a Golden Knights town. End of story. You think that'll be the case the rest of the way?
You know how you can tell is one team's called the Las Vegas Raiders. The other team's called the Vegas Golden Knights. And people in this city refer to themselves as being from Vegas, not from Las Vegas. And that's sort of the telltale indicator of how long you've lived here, or whether you're a local, or whether you're from afar, or a PEI, we call it, from away. It's Vegas, and I'll be curious to see what the A's do, whether they go with the Las Vegas A's, having witnessed how much of more of a bond there is. And that's not saying that the adoption of Vegas is the only reason why the Golden Knights have had such an incredible relationship with their fan base, but it is one of the reasons that it makes it more of a Vegas-born situation than the National Football League team.
Absolutely. And the other thing, too, for those that don't know, Daren, you're a Canadian boy. Brandon's your hometown, right? Very close with your brother Dean. Talk to him all the time. And you reached the pinnacle of hockey broadcasting in Canada. And then you go to Vegas. It's pretty big swap. Got to be a culture change. You're the host of the TV broadcast. It's so different than what you were doing, really. But you never, I don't want to say talk down. I watch your games all the time. You never talked over the heads of the viewers. You never tried to educate them. You just did it as a straightforward hockey broadcast every time, going back 9 seasons. Clearly, that was the way you wanted to approach it.
Yeah, we never really talked about it, Rod. I'll be honest with you. We never went into this going, okay, do we have to do a hockey 101 for this market? They've had hockey here for years between different stints with the Las Vegas Thunder or the Las Vegas Wranglers. Different people have come through here. I still work a good buddy of mine, Jeff Sharples, who's a graduate of the Las Vegas Thunder and stuck around here and now is a pilot for Alaskan Airlines, but has a passion for the game. He played in the National Hockey League with the Detroit Red Wings. There's a hockey culture in this town. So it was there, and it allowed us just to be us and talk hockey. There will be times, Ron, where there's a quirky rule or verbiage that we'll use where I'll ask Elliot, okay, explain that a little bit more, because that's not something that people in Vegas might not understand. It's people around the hockey world are getting to know a new bit of terminology. I'll get them to explain it. But on the whole, we approach this not as Toronto or Montreal, but certainly didn't tackle it like it was Florida or the first time hockey went to LA.
Well, and for all your fans, of which they are fans that are watching in Canada on the Game Plus TV network, I told you that I texted your good friend Darren Dreger this morning. And I said, hey, you're good with Millard, right? You guys are great. And he's like, yeah. Oh, he goes, oh, yeah. I got good news and bad news, Darren. Which do you want first from Dregs? Who for those that don't know, he's like the Adam Schefter of Canada, of the NHL in Canada, in my mind.
Well, Dregs and I got together a long time ago, and I was his A1, his assistant in radio in Brandon, and we did the weekend games back when we were both in our early 20s, which gives you an idea of how long that was ago. So Dregs knows where all the skeletons are. I'll go bad news. I'll go bad news first.
Oh, he said that you're afraid of needles.
Yeah.
And that you had the highest goals against average in the history of the Dauphin Kings junior A hockey team. Is that true?
Yeah, I'm okay. There's one positive here to playing in an era where I did. Hockey DB didn't track a lot of the things that happened back when I played, and I played parts of 2 years in Dauphin, and I'm fairly confident that it might be even games that I started that I finished on the bench. So I was either it was 50-50 whether I was going to be on the bench or there tackling. I wasn't a closer. I enjoyed the game, but I wasn't very good at the game. Now I still play now, and I love it, and I get out on the ice with some of the best players in the world and have a blast. And I owe everything in the world to hockey. But I was, for a junior hockey goaltender, I was extremely average. And the needle thing, he's right. We had to give, because we had private insurance for a while, Dregs and I. So we had to get a checkup and go through all the points. And I was living with Dregs in Toronto. And the lady came over and took my blood. And she ran out of the room going, Mr. Dreger, he's passed out. so Holly and Dregs had to come and sort of get me back on the chair. It wasn't the most manly of moments, let's just say that.
He actually told me the whole story, but I was going to leave it to you as to how much of the details you want to roll out, just that you're afraid of needle. And then the other is just that he said that you guys live together, how close you are. And to be honest, you two actually kind of sound alike. I don't know. you spend a lot of time together. I would say that you do. Yeah.
Well, that's funny because we used to do hockey broadcasts, baseball broadcasts, all kinds of things back in the days of CKLQ. And my parents would be driving, and they would argue which one was which. So it's funny you bring that up all these years later. No, he's a buddy, but I'm so proud of what he's done. He's a mentor to me. He's always one that's been able to reach out and guide me back to the right path if he thinks I'm stepping over a line and getting a little too full of myself. And so I love that guy, and he and Holly have been amazing people in our lives.
I would say full of himself is never a term I've heard associated with you. You might think that, but I've never heard that.
I've gone close to there. And we also played, we did a thing back in the day at Sportsnet. Drex and I sort of ran our Wednesday afternoon hockey. We played noon hour hockey every Wednesday at Commander Arena in Toronto, and we would do a showdown at the end of every skate. So we had that little rivalry too.
Those are always fun. You know, speaking, the viewers have questions. That doesn't surprise me. We got about 5 minutes left here with Daren Millard, so I won't keep you too. Well, they said, what's the biggest surprise of the season? Shaq in Winnipeg says, is it the Red Wings? Bomber Boy in Calgary says, no, it's got to be Utah. Who's the biggest surprise to you on the good end?
Well, go New Jersey. What they've been able to do. I know they had a stumble last night, but what they have accomplished out of the gate and without their number one goaltender, I think in that division, they've taken a real step and made a statement. Detroit rebounding from the Todd McClellan's speech on opening night was fun to watch and is encouraging for that group. I love Montreal. I've got this soft spot in my heart for this team this year. Noah Dobson is a great kid. I spend my summers on PEI and get to see Noah a little bit, and I know how excited he was for joining the Montreal Canadiens. And that's a team that I think going through the year and their management group and adding pieces, I think that they're in a position to be able to bulk up as we go along. And I would keep an eye on Montreal. And I'll go right in my own backyard. Vegas has one regulation loss in 10. Not a surprise because they always get off to good starts. But Jack Eichel right now, Rod, is the best player in the world. And Connor McDavid's the best player. I'm not trying to start an argument here. But Jack Eichel with 19 points in the first 10 games and what he's been able to do, multiple point games. And, every time when he scores a point in a game, they win 77% of the time. That's his impact on this team goes beyond what people might think.
That's MVP material there. Paul Maurice said after the game Saturday, he goes, this guy, well, number one, he said powerful. He goes, that's a powerful centerman, possibly the best player in the league. And I was like, did you forget what McDavid's done the last two Stanley Cup? But I'm not going to argue with Paul Maurice. Brian in Edmonton has a question that I have the similar for you. He says, Daren, has the number of ice surfaces gone up in Vegas since the Golden Knights showed up?
Yes. So they built a 2-sheet facility. Good question. Love my time at ITV, by the way. It was short, but Drager and I were both there. Not at ITV, but he was at A Channel, and I was at ITV. So we followed we played hopscotch throughout our lives. Loved the golf in Edmonton. Loved everything about living in Edmonton. It's absolutely so memorable. So ice surfaces. They built a 2-sheeter for the Vegas Golden Knights when the franchise started. And since then, they've built another 2-sheeter where the Henderson Silver Knights, the American Hockey League team, practice out of and are located. And they built a 6,000 seat facility, Lee's Family Forum, where the Henderson Silver Knights play their games out of. So there's 3 more sheets, and there's been several rumblings and talk about added sheets and multi-sheet facilities to come as the sport grows. Minor hockey, you can't get ice time. It's just like in Edmonton, where we in men's league or recreational leagues, you're pushed late into the night to be able to get that ice time because there's so much appetite for it.
Just a minute or two left, maybe 2 to 3 minutes left. Kevin in Las Vegas has written in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, Daren, he says, what is Bill Foley like? The owner of the Golden Knights.
Okay, my interaction with billionaires is it's a small group. All right. So I'm not going to try and say that I'm walking through Billionaire Row and can say and wave and say I know everybody. But he is nothing like what you would expect a billionaire to be. He's casual, he's talkative, he's engaging. When he sees you, he'll say hi, he'll call you by name, he'll sit and have a conversation with you about the game. I got a chance to actually spend some time with him last year. We were shooting a promo at his house, and we just ended up shooting the breeze. And he was like anybody else, except when you left his house and you look back at it, you went, "That's not like anybody else." But yeah, he's as normal of a person you would expect for having that kind of wealth. He's very cool.
He's self-made, right? Like he's
absolutely,
a normal guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a very successful one.
Wears the top and the jeans and walks through the office like he's anybody else.
Well, like yours and my mutual friend Mike Davis says from the Vegas Nighthawks, because I've asked him about Foley. He goes, he doesn't play.
No.
You know, Mike, you know what that means. He doesn't screw around.
But Mike's in different meetings than I'm in. So let's just clarify that.
Yeah, right.
I'm not talking player personnel. I love Mike Davis. He's the coolest, just most fun
Isn't
guy.
he?
Boy, can he play golf too? Man, that guy just squished.
Tell me about
I've
it.
had a chance to play with Bruce and Mike playing in the same foursome. Bruce Cassidy and Mike Davis. That's a match that you want to be a part of. Two bright guys who can hit the ball.
I wouldn't play. We're out of time. Daren, this has been awesome. Thanks. Good luck with the season.
Awesome stuff.
All right, the great Daren Millard. How fun was that? What a great chat. We got all your questions asked. We'll be right back on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and Game Plus.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. RP Show continues here on Game Plus TV and Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. That was such a great chat with Daren Millard. He's such a great guy and does such a fantastic job on those Golden Knights broadcasts. And kind of expecting to see them in the Stanley Cup final this year out of the West, for sure. No clue who will be coming out of the East. But again, we're only, 3 weeks into the regular season. By the way, it's time for your sports update brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone, your home for jerseys, collectibles, and all the gear you need. The 2025 World Series is now a best of three. The Toronto Blue Jays tied the Fall Classic showdown at 2 wins each Tuesday night after the Jays won in L.A. 6-2. Guerrero with a game-turning 2-run home run in the third inning. The teams play again Wednesday night and then head to Toronto for Game 6 Friday. Blue Jays rookie righty Trey Savage will be on the mound tonight for Toronto, while the Dodgers counter with lefty Blake Snell, the Game 1 loser. And I'm asking Jays fans because that's our team. What did we learn? And from just last night's Game 4 victory, and for me, I learned that Jays actually have a chance to win this thing. From literal worst to first story. Let's just see how it unfolds. Meanwhile, Seattle Mariners catcher Cal Raleigh is the Players' Choice Awards Player of the Year, chosen annually by MLB players. The Big Dumper becomes just the 7th player in MLB history to hit 60 homers in a season, setting a franchise record for the M's and league records for a switch hitter and a catcher. Only one game in the NHL tonight as the Leafs visit the Blue Jackets. Toronto's riding a 2-game win streak after Tuesday's 4-3 victory over Calgary. Columbus has also won 2 straight, edging Buffalo 4-3 in overtime. Toronto Raptors look to end a 3-game skid tonight when they face the Houston Rockets at Scotiabank Arena. Raps 1-3 on the season, Houston 1-2. 10 games in all in the NBA tonight. It's like, just back off, can you, till the World Series is over? But I know there's a lot of NBA fans. This story not going away. Chauncey Billups earned a spot in the Basketball Hall of Fame a year ago, recognizing his resilience and clutch play in a championship-winning NBA career. His ability to bounce back and make all the right moves is being put to a different test by a gambling scandal. Billups was one of more than 30 people arrested last week for what federal law enforcement officials described as their involvement in various illicit gambling activities. The coach was alleged to have participated in a conspiracy to fix high-stakes poker games with ties to 3 mafia families. Guess that's not a good idea. It's an interesting story. I shouldn't make light of it. I'm not making light of it. We've been talking about this since the story broke last week, and I'm like, maybe the guy has a problem, but it doesn't sound like he has any problem with regards to gambling addiction. I think he just likes money. Was saying last hour, I was enjoying the chat on Miami Sports Radio this morning. Joe Rose, the Dolphins great, hosts his own show on the radio, does Dolphins color. He's like, is it that big of a deal? I'm still laughing about what Joe Rose said this morning. Like, all these high-rises in downtown Miami were built by cocaine. Nobody had a problem with that. I think Adam Silver in the NBA feels otherwise. And as we talked about yesterday, the commissioner of the NBA feeling the need to apologize for this. I don't see the need why. Again, you can't keep your eye. You can't follow every guy and gal home. This isn't just players. This is coaches now. This is staff. Very, very dumb thing to do for Chauncey Billups and obviously Terry Rozier of the Heat. But I don't. Somebody tell me why this reflects on the league, because I don't feel that it does. Producer Corey singing in my ear. He doesn't either. I think, again, because I'm not politically correct, nor are you, Producer Corey, we wouldn't understand. We wouldn't understand. We're commissioner. This is the politically correct thing to do. I don't know what that is, ever. So I guess let's just apologize for something that we didn't have anything to do with. I wouldn't do that. If I didn't do it, I wouldn't apologize for it. But again, that's why I'm sitting here, and he's running the NBA. That is your sports update, proudly presented by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store. Get your game day gear in store or online at ultimatefanzone.ca. We have one more segment coming up. I had a Vegas entertainer slide into my DMs and ask when we're coming to Vegas to do live shows and if he could get on. I was asking the viewers, who do you think it might be? Ron writes in, he says, Dean Martin? Jerry Lewis? They're both dead. What do you think? Their writing is from the grave? Keep guessing, though. We'll be right back with Overtime, everybody, here on the Game Plus Television Network and the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Okay, welcome back, everybody. It is the final segment of this award-winning program today, and it's brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It's an amusement park for hockey players. As Randy says there, the owner, operator, and Michelle, his lovely partner, that where skill and fun collide. If you're looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot, prepping for the big game, or just want to have fun, birthday parties, Christmas parties, office parties, team parties, Overtime Hockey Lanes has you covered. Licensed bar for the parents. Yeah, 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. Nobody seems to know why the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, feels the need to apologize for the actions of Chauncey Billups, nor Terry Rozier. But I'll tell you what, those guys are going to be nailed to the wall. They already are. Jeff in Toronto writes in and says, it doesn't people like scandals. That's the exact word. It doesn't people like scandals. I don't know what that means. Who likes scandals? I don't like scandals. I never like scandals. He says maybe he's getting pressure from the Trump administration. I don't know about that. Sonny writes in and says it's probably happened before, but these guys just got caught. Dude, your lips. That's the one thing that I don't get. I've done a lot of dumb things in my life. And by the way, thank God for second, third, fourth, fifth chances. I wouldn't be sitting here right now. But the way sports is now, there are no second chances. None. There just aren't. So frankly, when Theron Fleury, my dear close personal friend, was going through his addiction issues while playing in the NHL, I remember thinking at the time, because I was not in the throes of addiction myself. Later on, I would be. But I'm like, how can you just not stay straight? You're making $10 million a year or whatever the hell it was. It's not that easy. And it's not. And you look at Chauncey Billups and go, why are you threatening your career, your Hall of Fame status? Now I'm on that side of the fence. But when you're on the other side of the fence, it's not as cut and dried as that. Oh, and it's interesting. You guys have mentioned Trump. My neighbor Fish, who's becoming a little bit of a mini star, thanks to the viewers of this show and Cats and Bolts. His uncle worked for Trump for 30 years. You should hear the stories. At Mar-a-Lago, just up the road here in West Palm Beach, Florida. Well, until that Vegas entertainer appears on this show, and incidentally, we're not going to do it via video. We'll do it live and in person when we go to Vegas for some live shows on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. But a Vegas entertainer DM'd me. Don't even know how he found me. And he's like, hey, I'm sitting here watching you on TV in Vegas. How do I get on your show? That is so American. Wouldn't you say, producer Corey? They're just aggressive in terms of, it's like the American way. Yeah, it's like, let's go. Utah Daren writes in, he says, it's not Donny Osmond, is it, Rod? LOL. No. But one of the girls that I've done work with here in South Florida, Michelle, she's worked on the Donny Osmond show. She said like 10 years ago, for 10 years in Vegas. Oh my God, don't get us going down the Trump road. For God's sakes, it's not a political show. Like I say, if you're going to write in, I certainly appreciate that, everybody, especially when you're going to be the co-host. When I don't have a co-host, the viewer becomes the co-host. Proofread your messages so you don't trip me up. So Jeff the Stamps fan says, sorry, I meant to say it's not a big deal, but people love to make scandals out of nothing. Talking heads on TSN or ESPN love to make a big deal out of nothing. That's also what I don't get. These networks, especially ESPN, who has the NBA broadcast deal or a big part of it, they're sitting there. I never can figure that out because I've had my pelt nailed to the wall so many times for things that I've said. How come they can say it? How come these panelists on the NBA shows on ESPN can say how bad this makes the NBA look when I'm sitting here just unfoggy brain going, how does it make the NBA look bad? It makes Chauncey Billups look really bad. It makes Terry Rozier look really bad. My God, the New England Patriots had a mass murderer on their roster, and Aaron Hernandez. I didn't see Robert Kraft apologizing afterwards to anybody. Or Roger Goodell. Is that just how much times have changed? Oh, Sonny says, I'm a lady, not a dude. Sorry, Sonny. Are you? I would say if you were the Sonny, but she's not with us anymore from the WWF. Well, thanks for finding us. Arlen Bruce has showed up in just a nick of time and says, Blue Jays by 4 tonight. Oh, yeah. Everybody's into it. The Toronto Bluebirds. Baseball. How much time did you say, Corey? What are we down to now? Really big thank you to Daren Millard for joining us today. And all of our Golden Knights friends, I'm going to tell you right now, they've all said, yes, let's go. And if they couldn't immediately come on, because Nighty did. He was our first, the TV color guy. Millard here. Kelly McCrimmon, the general manager of the Golden Knights, says he will make it work. He's a busy guy. He's the general manager of an NHL team. But a longtime friend, and listen, we're never going to make you look bad. You can use this show as a commercial for your team, your league, whatever. I remember when I told Mike Davis, the one I was talking about with Millard, that I was coming down to Florida, but I wouldn't be against bringing my show to Vegas. He's like, what would you talk about? What would you do? Now you know, Mike. Now you know. Kevin, the media tomorrow. Apparently, Brian from Edmonton, Brian from Edmonton will be too. Thank you, Brian. I'm not sure who the guest is. That's what I will be working on this afternoon. Yeah, until then, don't get caught in any gambling rings, everybody. And thanks for spending some quality time with us today. We'll see you tomorrow here on the Game Plus television network across Canada and 32 U.S. states, and, of course, across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network.
That